I just have to bullshit and lie my way through the interview. And at the end of the day, it's real easy to say, yeah, Hamas is a terrorist organization. But again, the reason, because one of the things that people do like, is condemn Hamas, because that's, one way or another, you're either with the terrorists or you're with the West. And that's why whenever these guys like that get challenged, when they say, you is Hamas a terrorist organization, they always change the subject or lie and try to hide the truth in their true feelings. Because at the end of the day, he's sympathetic with it. And this is a guy that the West took in because he supposedly was he was fleeing being persecuted in Egypt, yet he always goes back to Egypt to visit his family like it's no big deal. So again, that guy should be deported and kicked out and not allowed back into anywhere in the West. But because people on the left believe the bullshit coming out of his mouth, they still have him on TV. And he speaks English and he says all the right things. But then when he goes on Egyptian TV, he's like, oh, I was basically, I can't really talk about and say what I really believe because they'll never get anywhere. Because at the end of the day, the people in the West are not going to agree with him. And so this is something I wrote about in Mastering Yourself, is talking about the, like in 1979 during the Iranian Revolution, what the leftists, the Marxists, the communists, the socialists, all allied with Khomeini, and they saw him as like an austere religious scholar. And so after they took, because they're basically useful idiots, and so after they got power, they thought, hey, we're going to get free buses, all the same things that Mandami is promising. And when they realized they weren't going to get their communist, socialist super state, then they became a problem, and so they locked up thousands of them, and they executed about 30,000 of them. And so this picture here, let's see, go back to the caption. The girl in the back, she fled to Sweden, where she lives in exile to this day. They both actively worked towards and celebrated their own demise. The girl on the right, the one with the glasses, just click into the image, Chuck. They're carrying a Khomeini picture. So the girl on the left in the back, she fled to Sweden, and the one on the right, they executed her. But it's again more delusional leftists that believed all the propaganda because these Khomeini was practicing taqiyya. He kept his real intentions to himself. And he says, "Oh yeah, free buses, free food. We're gonna take care of everybody. We're gonna lower your rent." Same shit that Mondami's doing. And then once they got power, because the communists and the Marxists actually outnumbered the Islamists, but once they had control of all the guns in the state, they killed everybody that opposed them. And that's what you'll see happen. If it truly comes to pass in Europe that the Islamists take over, all the leftists and the Marxists and the socialists and the communists that work with them, they're all going to get killed. That's what's always happened in the Middle East. And you got, radical Islam aligning with the Marxists. And this is just a historical fact. This happened. And it continues to happen. And it's happening again to this day because these people have no idea what the hell is going on. They just believe whatever the TV says. Oh, Mandami, he's so progressive. And so when you import, Chunky, you got to move your mic.
No.
So this is an Afghan. This just happened a couple of days ago in Uxbridge. And so this is an Afghan refugee they took into their homes. This guy goes to the mosque, and here's those bearded Muppets, preaching the jihad. You got to terrorize the infidel. And he's told that if he goes out and goes on a mass stabbing spree or runs people over or kills them in any way, shape, or form, that he's going to get 72 versions if he dies in the act of terrorism. So this is pretty graphic. You got any kids around? Hide the kids. This is what happens when you import people with a different culture. So that guy was just out. He's a dog walker, just walking dogs, trying to earn a living. And this guy's just stabbing him to death. He died, by the way. And the guy got captured, and he'll probably be put in prison, and they'll say, oh, he was mentally ill, and they'll release him in a few years. And then he'll go right back out in the streets and do the same thing all over again. That's the crazy thing. And so people are getting more and more pissed off because Right now, the UK is around 6.5, 7% of the population is Muslim. And anytime something like this happens, the people get upset. And so this was, I think, that evening after it happened. These, you can click into the video chunk. This is all the people out in the streets. So people are getting sick of it. So eventually it's gonna get to a point where people, if they feel like the government is really truly against them, they're gonna start lynching people, and there's things are gonna go sideways really fast. Especially when you see nothing but men showing up, being upset, and there's no women around. That means you're really in fucking danger. But the politicians, Keir Starmer is like, Islamophobia is the greatest thing, the greatest threat to Britain that they have. Meanwhile, they ignore the Afghan that they imported, who was there illegally, that just went on a stabbing spree and killed some poor guy.